All right, guys, welcome back to the Joe Danger Show. In today's episode, we're going to be diving locally out of St. Pete Beach. The plan is to run 10, maybe 15 miles offshore and hit some of our beautiful ledges and artificials. This is the area where I learned to spearfish and free dive, so it's got a special place in my heart, especially this time of year when the water's warming up. It's going to be 73, maybe 74 degrees. Visibility's been near top to bottom, and it should be really fishy. So excited for this trip. All right, I'm gonna be headed offshore today with my great friends, brother Eli and Dan. We're also gonna have Mr. Sam Cook behind the cameras. He's bringing his drone and his underwater photography setup. Eli is gonna be captaining his beautiful Boston Whaler. He's got twin 250s on the back, so we're gonna get to the spots pretty quickly today. And to make things better today, the weather's near perfect. Couldn't ask for a better day. We have made it to our first spot, only 45 feet of water. Visibility looks incredible. We had a little malfunction with the main anchor, but Eli had a backup, always prepared, love to see it. So all systems are a go. Good to throw, Dan?
Yeah, go ahead.
Woo! I make a few warm-up dives and locate some area with good hard bottom below. And I actually go 4 or 5 dives before I even pull the trigger. And on my first trigger pull, I shoot directly into the limestone and get my shaft stuck. So I have to go up and get some air. That was a longer than expected dive. My next dive, I go back down to try to pull my shaft out of the stone, and I can't, but while I'm down there, I see a big hogfish, and you can see me pointing at it, actually. So I go back up to the surface, realizing I'm not going to be able to get my shaft out, so I call over for Dan to bring me an extra shaft. Dan, there's an absolute gigantic hogfish. My shaft is rocked up. When you're driving over, I'm gonna cut my line and tie on a new shaft. And Dan, being a good friend that he is, he hands me his spear gun. I load it up, and you can see my next dive here. And sure enough, this hogfish was right where I left him. Hogfish are definitely not the smartest fish in the ocean, so I really take my time on this one. Close the gap. Bang, make a perfect headshot. They're also amazing fish to eat, super white meat, so I'm pumped to get this fish in the boat. That's how it's done, boys! I told you that son of a bitch was down there. All right, guys, so we secured a nice hog. I blasted a smaller hog and my shaft got rocked up. As I was going down to extract him, I saw this guy. Dan came out.
You got the red.
Dan came out. Dan, after shooting a monster mangrove snapper, Dan came out and gave me his gun. So I went down and took down this little guy. All right. Boards are dialed. I followed Dan down on a couple dives. You can see him line up a nice mangrove snapper here. There he is.
I had to shoot something.
There he is.
Come on.
It's actually been kind of a slow morning. Not as many big mangrove snapper as I'd like to see, not as many hogfish, but there are just a ton of gag grouper. I saw a couple that were probably 15, 20 pounds. They're out of season, most likely for the rest of the year, so it's a bummer. Can't shoot them. One of my favorite fish to hunt. Oh well. We're getting ready to move spots, and I say, hey guys, let me do one last dive here. So I make my way down to the bottom, and I come across a pretty decent sized sheephead. They're actually a delicious fish if you take the time to clean them and prepare them the right way. So I close the gap on this guy and make a nice headshot, and one more fish for the cooler. A lot of people talk crap about sheephead.
Dude, that thing looks like it was.
That's what happens when you stone them. They turn white. But delicious fish. I don't care what people say. I'm dripping blood all over the boat. Probably should put it back in the cooler. Yeah, that was not a good. Sheephead just looked terrible. All right, it's time to move spots. We're headed to an artificial reef in about 50 feet of water. On my first dive, I come across a beautiful male hogfish. He's a shooter for sure, so I close the gap. Make a nice holding shot, and another fish in the boat. We do a couple more dives. I think Dan shoots a fish or two. We're ready to call it a day. See a sandbar shark comes in, pretty hot, and Sam gets some awesome footage, I thought. So great day. Time to head back in, fillet some fish, and have a nice dinner tonight. Tonight we're doing fish and grits with fresh hogfish straight from the Gulf of Mexico. Shoot your fish, drain and bleed it. Pull out the fillet knife, make sure it's extra sharp. And look at that beautiful white meat. We're gonna season our fish and asparagus, fire up the grill, and toss them on there. Boil some water, add your grits, add some butter, stir it in, and then we're gonna add some cheese. Add some cream, stir it all up. Take our fish and asparagus off the grill, add our grits to a bowl, put in some chopped up asparagus, put the fish on top, and garnish it with some scallions and jalapeno peppers. Pour yourself a glass of wine. Cheers and enjoy. Hope you all enjoyed this episode. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. See you next time.